Hey everybody, the Mariners season is about to get underway, and today we're going to begin my new series called the Mariners Player Rankings. Now my goal is to do this once a month. I'm going to update these rankings once a month, and we're just going to go through and update every single player on not only the Seattle Mariners system, but also in the Tacoma Rainiers AAA, as well as on the injured list. Kicking things off today. Oh, and a quick prelude. I'm not including prospects on this list unless they are already in AAA Tacoma. I don't think it's fair to really rank prospects because I don't really know how to rank them. If the team doesn't think they're ready, then I'm not sure how to rank them. So with that being said, guys, kicking things off, I'm going to go pretty quick towards the bottom of this list. Casey Lawrence is number 53. He's a bullpen reliever for the Tacoma Rainiers. He has pitched with the Mariners before. Never really been that good in the major leagues. I do not expect him to play for the team this season. Then we got Kirby Snead, again, former big league reliever for the A's. He's currently on the Rainiers roster, not on the 40-man. Not really sure if we should really expect him to play at all for the Mariners this season, but he is a player with former big league experience. And then at number 51 also, guys, I've got Heath Hembree, another former closer actually in the big leagues, but he really didn't do a whole lot besides that. He's pitched for the Padres, the Reds, and he is definitely getting old. He threw only one game last year, so I do not expect him to contribute a whole lot to the Mariners, but on the Rainiers, he could be pretty good, and again, solid depth. All right, kicking the top 50 off, we got Nick Solak here for the former Texas Rangers prospect, and now utility man, outfielder for the Tacoma Rainiers. I feel like, obviously in an ideal world, you don't want this guy playing for the Mariners, but if worst comes to worst, he wouldn't be the worst player to call up, probably, because he does have some experience. All right, guys, coming in at number 49, we got Taylor Dollard. Taylor Dollard is a hard-throwing prospect for the Mariners. Hasn't pitched in the big leagues yet. He is on the Rainiers roster. He's probably third or fourth in line to start if injuries were to happen. I think if Taylor Dollard is starting games for you at the big league level this year, that's probably a bad thing, but he has some potential. He is a solid prospect. Coming in at number 48, I got Michael Chavis, the former Red Sox and Brewer, came to the Mariners this spring training and had a really good first week, hit a couple home runs, then kind of fell off. There's some people very early on saying maybe he should make the team, but obviously he's not going to do a whole lot. He is going to be probably the starting third baseman for the Rainiers, so we'll see what he can do there. Maybe he proves himself. Maybe if Luis Urias struggles, he makes the team, but right now he's at number 48. And at number 47, this is the first member of the Mariners' 40-man roster, Jonathan Clase, the young speedster, really good at defense, really good at stealing bases. I could see him getting called up in an instance where we really need a quick player, a fast player. So yeah, there's definitely a chance Jonathan Clase sees the big leagues this season, but right now just hasn't really proved himself. He's not even played in AAA yet, so I'm very interested to see how he can hit in AAA. And coming in at number 46, I got Levi Stout, former really highly ranked Mariners prospect, got traded to the Reds, obviously really sucked last year on the Reds. Now he's back with the Mariners. He's going to be on the Rainiers. He's going to be starting games for the Rainiers, and he is part of that starting pitching depth that the Mariners have. If guys get hurt, you might see Levi Stout this year. We'll see how that goes. At number 45, another Rainiers starting pitcher. I got Jonathan Diaz, former Angels pitcher. Never really been anything in the major leagues, but he had a solid spring training. And honestly, he's probably the first guy from the Rainiers getting called up if we need a spot start. I would guess they would go with him over Levi Stout. And at number 44, former Angels relief pitcher Ty Buttrey, a guy who has not pitched since 2020. He obviously had some mental health issues going on, and obviously, we have to hope he's okay from that. But Ty Buttrey, he is back with this Mariners team. He's going to be on the Rainiers to start the season. Had a not very great spring, but that's kind of to be expected when you've been away from baseball for 4 years. But that's Ty Buttrey for you. Again, not sure if he'll play for the team, but if he does, I think he's better than a few other options. Number 43, I got Joey Krehbiel, the former Oriole. Joey Krehbiel is currently injured. He was trying to make the opening day roster out of spring training, but that injury really did set him back. Not a whole lot to say about Joey Krehbiel. He does have some potential. At number 42, this is a guy who I think is definitely going to crack the Mariners team at some point this year. I've got Tyler Locklear. I thought about ranking him a little bit higher even, but he isn't on the 40-man, so I think he's still a little bit away from being called up. But Tyler Locklear, a guy who played really well last season in both single A and double A, he's going to be on the Rainiers, probably going to be their everyday first baseman. If Ty France struggles early, watch out for Tyler Locklear to take his spot. And if guys get hurt, guys, there's a very good chance we may see Tyler Locklear in the big leagues. But then coming in at number 41, I got relief pitcher Jackson Kowar. And Jackson Kowar is interesting because he's kind of stuck here, right? He is not going to play at all this season. He's obviously has to get Tommy John surgery, and that sucks for him. So yeah, not a whole lot to say for him. He was having a solid spring training until he went down with that last injury. Kicking the top 40 started, we got catcher Blake Hunt. He is the 4th catcher on this roster. I think the only way he gets called up is if Cal Raleigh gets hurt, because I feel like if Mitch Garver gets hurt, you're going to call up somebody with a better bat than another catcher, right? You already have Sebi Zavala as your backup. And if Sebi Zavala gets hurt, you probably would then just use Mitch Garver as your primary backup catcher. And again, you'd call up somebody who's better usable with their bat. I think the only way you call up Blake Hunt is if Cal gets hurt and you're not comfortable with Sebi as your everyday starter because he's not a very good hitter, and you're also not comfortable with Garver as your everyday starter because you don't want him to get hurt, then we maybe would see a 3-way rotation between Sebi, Garver, and Blake Hunt. But other than that, Blake Hunt is going to be the Rainiers' starting catcher. He is definitely a good depth piece to have. He was solid in the Rays AAA last season, so I like that we have him. Coming in number 39, this guy throws 100 miles an hour, and a lot of people thought he should have made the opening day roster. This is Carlos Vargas. Carlos Vargas obviously didn't end up making the roster, and that's because he has no control. So the Mariners, they want him to get some more development time in there in AAA. He was really bad last year for the Diamondbacks and in the Diamondbacks AAA, so I understand why he's not on the roster. But, guys, if he can unlock his potential, he's going to be really good. I have him at 39 right now. Hopefully he climbs this list as the season goes on. Coming in number 38, we got Edward Bizardo, another guy who's currently injured right now. He was on pace to maybe make the team, but then he got hurt during spring training, so he's on the IL. Not a whole lot to say about him. He did pitch a few games with us last year, then ended up going to the Red Sox, and now he's back with us. Number 37, fan favorite Cade Marlowe. I know this might seem low for Cade, but the dude just cannot make contact with the baseball. He did have that 2-week Linsanity run for us last year, and I'm sure if we call him up, he'll be fine, but I think his best spot right now is to just be the left fielder for the Rainiers, keep getting his reps in, and maybe he'll be able to break out with us in the future. At number 36, I have shortstop Ryan Bliss, the guy who came over from the trade for Paul Sewald. Obviously, he is the first player from that trade on this list. The other two are actually ahead of us, so we'll still get to those guys, but Ryan Bliss, I really think this guy can make an impact on the team. Maybe I'm totally tripping, but I think he could potentially be a starter on this team by the middle of the season. I'm really high on Ryan Bliss. I love the way that this guy hits, the way he swings the bat. He screams like solid middle infielder when it's all said and done. Obviously, right now, he's blocked at all the positions, but I think Ryan Bliss, in a few years, could be a really good MLB player. But at number 35, I got Ty Adcock. Ty Adcock is another reliever who I'm really high on. Honestly, I think Ty Adcock is one of those guys who's probably going to get called up pretty early in the season, depending on how injuries play out. He was decent for us last season. His FIP was terrible. His ERA was good, so I'm not sure what that really tells you, other than maybe he got kind of lucky. I don't know. I hope not. But yeah, that's Ty Adcock for you. He'll be on the Rainiers to start the season off. At number 34, I have a guy who a lot of people really wanted to be on the roster, Samad Taylor. I'm really trying to keep those guys who aren't on the roster in those 30s and 40s, and you might be wondering, like, Levi, why are you even ranking these players? Nobody cares. It's like, well, last season the Mariners used 51 players, so we are probably going to see almost every single one of these players who currently isn't on the team. Eventually, we're going to see them on the team. So, yeah, Samad Taylor, solid player. Is he amazing? I mean, he's played 30 games in the big league, so it's hard to really know, but he had an amazing spring training. He's a good utility player. He's definitely a Sam Haggerty type of a guy. At number 33, I got Tyson Miller. Tyson Miller, former Cub and Dodger, almost messed around and made that opening day roster, but I think Tyson Miller, he's going to be one of those first guys getting called up if someone gets hurt, because he had such a good spring. He's going to start off with the Rainiers. He may end up being their closer this year. Tyson Miller, good player, lots of talent. We're going to see him in the majors at some point. And coming in then at number 32, I have Mauricio Llovera, the former Red Sox, who, again, he really pushed to make that opening day roster for the Mariners, but ultimately gets sent down to AAA Tacoma. I think he's the first guy up. Mark my words. I think if a pitcher gets hurt, either him or Tyson Miller is the first guy up to replace them. And then at number 31, longtime MLB third baseman Brian Anderson. Brian Anderson just missed out on that top 30, and I think he also just missed out on a roster spot. I honestly think that had Luis Urias been injured, which, we thought he was going to be, Brian Anderson would have made this roster. He had a nice spring training. He has 10 years of MLB experience with the Marlins and the Brewers. He's not a guy who is he's definitely not a guy who you'd consider a bum by any definition of the word. Brian Anderson, good player. He's going to be probably the everyday right fielder for the Rainiers, but he also plays third base, second base, left field. He does a lot of good stuff. I think we're going to see him on the team at some point. Getting the top 30 kicked off, this is Cody Bolton. Cody Bolton also the first guy on the big league opening day roster. Bolton, I feel like Cody Bolton, not that he is a terrible player, but he's definitely the weakest link of the Mariners bullpen right now. Could he be good in the future? Sure, he definitely could. Not to take anything away from the guy, I'm sure he is a very talented player, but haven't seen a whole lot from him this spring to indicate he is more than just filling in a gap from an injury. And at number 29, I got Emerson Hancock, again, filling in for Brian Wu. I really, truly don't think he's super much ready for the major leagues at this point, but we need him to fill in. He's going to get his chance to prove that he is. I would love for him to climb this list and make his way higher up into the 20s or even into the teens by the time his starting stint is all said and done. And then at number 28, guys, Sam Haggerty on the IL right now. I believe he is going to be the Tacoma Rainiers' second baseman when he comes back. He's a solid utility player. He's really fast. He makes good contact. The problem is he's just really streaky, and he doesn't have any really amazing tools other than his speed. He's good defensively at most positions. I wouldn't say he's elite defensively at any position, and that's Sam Haggerty for you. He contributes. He's got a positive attitude, but right now, number 28 feels like the best spot for him. Number 27, another big league opening day pitcher. I've got Colin Snyder, former Royal. Honestly, wasn't that bad last year, but again, he wouldn't be on the roster if Matt Brash and Gregory Santos were healthy, so take it with a grain of salt. The Mariners did choose him over Mauricio Rivera and Tyson Miller, so I'm ranking him ahead of them for right now, but this is Colin Snyder, number 27. Number 26, I got the backup catcher, Sebi Zavala. Maybe this is a little bit low for him, but honestly, I think he's probably the worst of the Mariners' position players right now. I feel like out of the 13 position players on this roster, Zavala is the weakest guy, and that's because of his bat, right? He hit 170 last year. There's not a whole lot more, or there's not a whole lot better or worse you can get from that. He did hit 7 homers. His defense is good. I'll give him that. He's a good defensive catcher, so he's going to be able to play. And I continue to say, I do want him to get his at-bats because that means Mitch Garver doesn't have to play catcher. It's a trade-off, right? You're trading off 40 games of Cal for Mitch Garver to stay healthy all season long, and I think that's worth it. Coming in at 25, I know I'm really low on this guy, but I just don't think Luis Urias is that good anymore. I know he was good in 2021. He was really good for the Brewers. When he was 23 years old, he was a stud. But he was so hurt last year, and I don't buy into the Luis Urias hype train. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he climbs this list. Number 24, the Mariners signed Austin Voth this year to a 1-year deal. Austin Voth going to be the long reliever out of the bullpen. Not the weakest link of this bullpen, but he's definitely not the strongest link out of the bullpen by any means. He's fine. He's good. He deserves to be on the team, and we'll leave it at that. Number 23, I got Dylan Moore. Dylan Moore, at times he's been as high as, 15, 16 on this roster, but right now, Dylan Moore coming in at number 23. He's just a fine utility player. Yes, he deserves to be on this team. Yes, he is a big league player. No, he's not an amazing player. He's not an everyday player. He's not going to get a whole lot of counting numbers. He just does the small things really well, and that's what we appreciate about Dylan Moore. At number 22, I got Dominic Canzone, the opening day left fielder for the Seattle Mariners. And you're like, really? Opening day? But, why do I have him ranked so low? And honestly, maybe I should rank him higher. Maybe am I too low on Canzone? Maybe I am, guys. But I don't know, guys. I don't buy it for Canzone as much as maybe some other people do. I think he's fine. I think he's good. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Canzone is he's a utility outfielder. I'm not really super hyped about Canzone, but again, could he break out? Yeah, he totally could. And at number 21, we got Gabe Spire. Gabe Spire, the Mariners' left-handed specialist. Maybe I'm underrating him, but I think the reason why I rank him below a couple of these other relievers is because Gabe Spire is probably only your left-handed specialist. or not only, but he's best against lefties. He struggles a little bit against righties, but still, Gabe Spire, really good pitcher. He's going to be one of your leverage arms in this bullpen this year because he is going to be that guy who comes in when there's a big hitting lefty. That's when you bring in Gabe Spire. But I do have Trent Thornton one spot ahead of him, and this is probably going to be considered controversial, but I honestly think Trent Thornton is more of a well-rounded pitcher than Gabe Spire, whereas Spire's better against lefties. Thornton's good against both lefties and righties, so that's why I have Thornton ahead of Gabe Spire. Number 19, I got Josh Rojas, Mariners opening day second baseman. Probably could have ranked him a little bit higher, but I think 19 is a good spot for him right now. He is the 9 hitter in the Mariners opening day lineup, and I have him ranked as the 9th best hitter in the Mariners opening day lineup, so that makes sense, right? I guess technically the 8th best because I have Canzone ranked below him. But yeah, Josh Rojas, good defensively, fine offensively. If he can get back to his 2022 levels with the D-backs, he would be really great, and he would definitely climb this list. But right now, I think 19 is definitely a fair spot for him to rest at. At number 18, I got Taylor Saucedo, another Mariners bullpen guy, leverage kind of arm. I'm not sure how much he'll be in leverage situations this year, but he is a good pitcher. He did some really good stuff for us last year. I think he will continue to grow into his role as a big league reliever as the season goes on. He's going to open the season up probably as the Mariners' number 3 leverage arm because obviously Santos and Brash both injured, and then we'll see what happens from there. All right, guys, after this, number 17, we got Mitch Haniger. Mitch Haniger returning to the Mariners. 17, is it low? Yeah, it's low, and I wish I could rank him higher, but guys, he just hasn't played much in the past 2 seasons, and last season, Mitch Haniger was easily the worst year of his career. He was just simply terrible last year. I really hope that he gets back to his 2021 or at least his 2022 Mitch Haniger form. If he does, that would be so clutch for the Mariners, but I have him at 17 right now. Definitely hope he climbs this list. And then at number 16, the surprising new addition to the Mariners bullpen, Ryan Stanek, who right now is, with Brash and Wu both injured, Ryan Stanek right now is the Mariners' second best reliever, in my opinion. That's crazy to me that we didn't even have him a month ago, and now we do, and he's our second best reliever. Ryan Stanek, love this player, love the pickup. He was so good for the Astros in 2022. He's been filthy throughout his entire career. Really good player, really good veteran arm to have in the bullpen. Number 16, I got Brian Wu. Brian Wu, definitely unfortunate that he's not going to be able to be on the opening day rotation, but he should be back by May. So, again, this is a guy who can definitely climb this list by the end of the year, but right now, putting him at 15. All right, number 14, guys, I got Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller is definitely, I think, the Mariners' 4th best starting pitcher on the team, but again, so much potential for Bryce Miller. 14 is pretty good for a guy in his second season. You could argue he should be even a little bit higher. I still think he needs to add another pitch to his repertoire, but I like him at 14 right now. At number 13, this might be a hot take. I have Luke Raley. I'm a little bit higher on Luke Raley than a lot of other Mariners fans, and apparently I'm higher on him also than the front office and than Scott Servais because they're not even starting him on opening day. Personally, I do think he's better than Dominic Canzone right now. That might not be the case in a couple months, but I got Luke Raley at number 13 right now. And then at number 12, we got Ty France. Ty France, love the guy, but he's fallen out of the top 10. I'm still keeping him at 12 because I think the track record he's had throughout his career warrants him being, pretty high right now on this team. So, yeah, Ty France is number 12. I love him. He's a great player, one of my favorites. I'm going to be rooting for a Ty France bounce back this season, obviously. Vive la France. If he doesn't, he will start to slip down this list, but I think I'm giving him the benefit of he's been an all-star, he's been a good player in the past, so I think number 12 is a fair spot for him. Last year, he would have been probably maybe 6 or 7, and this year he started the year off at 12. And then at number 11, just missing out in the top 10, the currently injured Gregory Santos, the pickup who we traded Zach DeLoach and who else? We traded Zach DeLoach and I don't even remember the other guy we traded. It was somebody who throws hard. It was that reliever guy. Whatever. Zach DeLoach was traded for Gregory Santos, and honestly, this is a great move. Great move. I was a little bit down on the move for some reason. I don't know why. Levi in January was just not very happy, I guess. I don't know, but no, he's going to be great. He's a good, really good player, really good asset for the Mariners to have. Love me some Gregory Santos. So excited to see what he's going to do for the Mariners this year. The fact that we got our 11th best player for a couple minor leaguers is such a good trade, in my opinion, from Jerry Dipoto. And now coming in at number 10, also currently injured, we got Matt Brash. Matt Brash at number 10 right now, the relief pitcher. I think he's a top 10 player in this Mariners organization. He's one of the core players on this team. Really good player. When he's healthy, he's your second best reliever. He's your setup guy. He's your clutch situational guy. He's a strikeout god. He's so good, so good, so good. Not anything, especially the second half last year. Oh my gosh, Matt Brash was amazing. Number 9, I got Mitch Garver, the starting DH for the Seattle Mariners. He's batting cleanup in the lineup. I have Mitch at 9. Maybe you could argue he should be higher, but I think his injury proneness combined with the fact that we just haven't seen him play in a Mariners uniform, he's been good in the past. He's definitely really good at hitting for power, got some great traits. Definitely not an elite player. I don't know if he's an all-star caliber player. He's going to be a really good player for this lineup, though. And yeah, Mitch Garver, number 9. And then coming in number 8, I got Jorge Polanco. Jorge Polanco is a guy who I think could be really, really good for the Mariners, starting second baseman. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but he's definitely an upgrade over Colton Wong. I think he's similar level to where Adam Frazier was at 2 years ago. Frazier didn't really work out, but we got to hope that Jorge Polanco does. I think right now he's definitely a top 8 player on this team. He is the, in my opinion, 4th best hitter in this lineup. He's going to be batting 3rd tonight. So yeah, Jorge Polanco, got him at number 8. Number 7, I got Andres Munoz. I think Andres Munoz, as our closer, he deserves to be in the top 7. I really do. I think he is a star. He is a stud. He is probably going to... I don't want to speak too soon. I think he's going to be in the mix for the leading the American League in saves. That's my prediction. In the mix. Not guaranteeing anything. I think he's going to be in the mix, and that's going to be amazing for Andres Munoz, as he is a really good player, really good pitcher. Love me some Andres Munoz. He's going to be such a beast for so long. Throws 100 miles an hour. Really good curveball. Yeah, Andres Munoz, love it. And then, guys, coming in at number 6, I got shortstop J.P. Crawford. J.P. Crawford just missed out on the top 5, and you could really argue that he should be flipped with the guy in front of him. This is probably going to be viewed as a controversial take, but I got J.P. at 6. Obviously, last year was a career year. Can he repeat it? We can only hope, right? We can only hope he can repeat it. I think he will. I think he's going to repeat it. I'm going to be optimistic right now. J.P. Crawford's going to repeat last year and be just as good. He's at number 6 right now. But, guys, I have Cal Raleigh just one spot ahead of him at number 5. Cal Raleigh, number 5. I think because he's a catcher, that is what gives me the slightest of edges to Cal over J.P. Obviously, both of them had really good seasons last year. Both of them are off to really good starts in their Mariners careers. Both of them, hopefully, Cal gets an extension soon. I would love that if that happens. But I also love Cal because he hits for power, and that's something that we don't have a whole many guys who really are good at. So Cal at number 5, I think that's a really good choice for me. But again, if you want to argue JP at 5, Cal at 6, I would listen to that. Similarly, if you want to say Polanco and Garver should be ahead of Munoz just because they are offensive players and Munoz is a reliever, I would listen to that argument too. And then, guys, we got the 3 pitchers. Not much to say. Gilbert, I have him at number 4. I think that in a lot of teams, he'd be their ace. He's probably would be the number 2 on any other team in baseball. Maybe not if the Rangers were healthy. If it's, DeGrom, Scherzer, he probably is their number 3 there. But right now, they're both hurt. And honestly, the Braves with Fried and Strider. Other than that, though, he's pretty much would be either the number 1 or number 2 pitcher on any other team. But for the Mariners, he's our number 3. That just proves how good this rotation is, because I think he's going to be an all-star this year. And then George Kirby, number 3. Again, he could be number 2. You could argue for that. Castillo, number 2. The Rock. Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, they're all 3 so good. But guys, of course, number 1. And hopefully he'll be number 1 all season. Julio Rodriguez. He's the best player in the Mariners. Best player on the Seattle Mariners. And that's not going to change in a while. So, guys, I don't even have to say anything, do I? But, guys, let me know down in the comments. Who do you think is the best players? Where do you agree with my rankings? Where do you disagree? I want to hear it. I want to hear all you guys' takes. And with that being said, go Mariners and happy opening day.